I'm going to take you through an example of drawing the ray diagram for a concave lens. One simplification we make with lenses is even though we know that the light bends twice, once when it enters the lens and again when it leaves the lens, we can actually make very, very useful predictions if we treat it as just bending once, right at the center, since we don't really need to know anything about the path of the light while it's in the lens. So there are three principal rays I'm going to draw, and I'm going to have them all start right at the top of my object, so right on the little stick man's head. The first one goes parallel to the lens's axis, so it's going to go straight horizontally. Now, by definition, the focal point of a lens is where parallel rays would meet. So this ray is going to bend to go through one of the focal points. The trick is I've got one on either side of the lens, so I have to think about what this lens wants to do to light. This type of lens causes light to diverge or to spread out, so it wants to shoot this ray up and away. In order to do that, I'm going to have to use the focal point over here. So I line up my ruler like this, and I have that ray shoot upwards. Now, I happen to know that a concave lens is always going to form a virtual image, which means I'm going to need some virtual rays eventually. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw some dashed lines to represent that virtual ray that I'll be using shortly. Now that I've got that first ray taken care of, I'm ready to draw my next one. So I'm going to go ahead and use the other focal point. I'm essentially drawing the reverse of that first ray I did. So I've got a ray that goes from the top of my object, and it goes along a line towards the focal point, though it doesn't reach it. And that ray is going to bend to become parallel. And again, I can see that this ray and this one will never meet. So even if I didn't know in advance that concave lenses always form virtual images, if I see that these rays aren't going to meet, that tells me I have to extend them backwards. The third and final ray that I'm going to draw is the one that goes straight through the center of the lens. And this one will not bend. So I can simply draw a single straight line. And then I look for the spot where all three of these rays meet, which is right here. And that is where my image appears.